In this video, I'll be telling you the best winter tyres in every category for Europe and North America. First, the performance winter tyre category. I'm actually going to quickly go through another winter tyre test I conducted this year, but I didn't want to give it its own dedicated video as I've published two already and it covers a lot of the same tyres. However, this test did include a tread wear test which was performed on the road, not on machine, so it does give us the best insights possible into tread life and overall value of tyres, which does mean the results are slightly different. I don't want to spend too much time on the test. The full test will be linked in the description. It has a lot of data including wet braking at different temperatures and worn wet braking, so there's a lot of data to really geek through, way too much for this video. The test used a Mustang in the 225/40 19-inch tyre size, so it's a big winter tyre. And like my other performance winter tyre test, included the Bridgestone Blizzak LM005, the Continental Winter Contact TS870P, the Hankook Winter Icept Evo 3, and the Michelin Pilot Alpine 5, the best of the best winter tyres. Plus the very popular Bridgestone Windtrack Pro and a budget tyre, something called the Superior Blue Wind UHP2. Did it turn out to be superior? No, it did not. In the dry, things were actually very close, with the Michelin being the best in dry handling, which we're kind of used to now, and the Bridgestone being the best in dry braking. So yeah, like I say, not that unusual. In the wet, the Bridgestone did its usual flex and crushed every wet test, including aquaplaning, for a flawless wet performance. Though interestingly, its wet braking advantage over second place went from 10% at warm temperatures to just 1.6% at cooler temperatures. And it wasn't even that cool, it was still above freezing. So winter tyres shouldn't get worse as the temperature drops, so it's an interesting result and something I want to look more into. The Continental was very close behind in the wet, as was the Michelin and the Bridgestone. If you've been keeping up this year, you won't be surprised to know that the Michelin was again the best in the snow. But like in the wet and the dry, things were very close in this test. For whatever reason, it's either the tyre size or the Mustang seems to have compressed everything down even more than usual, and these tests are getting very close. Well, what about wear? Because that's what we really want to talk about. Well, this is where it gets really interesting. Without wear, the Bridgestone Blizzak LM005 would have won the test overall, again, with the Conti and Michelin right there behind. Basically, it's happened already this year. But we did test wear. This was significant for two of the tyres. Firstly, the test-winning Bridgestone, well, it no longer wins because its projected tread life was around half of the Michelin and well behind the Continental too. Even with its slightly cheaper purchase price than those two, its value, which is calculated as cost per 1,000 kilometers driven, was nearly 50% more, which makes it quite an expensive product to own. The real winner from the wear test was the Bridgestone. Its projected mileage was even more than the Michelin, which is going to shock a lot of people, myself included. And it was one of the cheapest to buy, so its cost per 1,000 kilometers was outstandingly low. It pushed it right up the order in the overall results. What about the budget tyres? That only cost 67 euros to buy compared to 246 for the Michelin. That's a massive gap. Well, the wear was so bad, it worked out to be almost the same cost per kilometre as the Michelin, only without the grip benefit of the French tyre. So once again, cheap tyres are bad tyres, and when you factor in cost per miles driven, they're not even cheap.
Since filming this, I've actually changed the tread wear calculation from 4mm down to the more standard legal limit of 1.6mm. This hasn't changed the results overall, but due to the lower starting tread depth of the Michelin and the budget tyres, it has improved their relative overall tread life. The web article of course reflects all this, so go check it out.
So the big question is, how important is wear? If this was a summer and all season tyre test, it would be unquestionably important as those tyres get used a lot. And to the people who do a lot of miles on your winter tyres, I imagine it's very important too. But if you're a person whose winter tyres kind of age out before they wear out and you just want the best grip overall, then it's less important. In summary, if wear isn't important to you as your winter tyres age out before they wear out, the Bridgestone is pretty hard to beat still. In my final rankings, I am including wear as I do think it's important to more people than it's not. So the winner of this test was once again the Continental Winter Contact TS870P, proving that not only does it have good grip in all conditions, as we've seen in other tests and this one, but also it wears very well too. That's not to say the Bridgestone and Michelin aren't also great tyres from this test. The Bridgestone in this size is excellent value and it didn't perform too bad either overall. So punchy result for Bridgestone, and as always, the Michelin does everything well. It's just an outstanding tyre. As I said, you can check out the full test in the link in the description, and I think it's worth geeking out over because it's a lot of good data. As for the other tyres in this performance winter segment, the new Goodyear Ultra Grip Performance 3 has had some very promising results in other tests. I always like the Hankook winter products, and from a personal point of view, I really enjoy driving on the Pirelli winter tyre, so lots of good options in this segment. What if you just want a winter tyre in a more normal wheel size, because the performance winter segment is traditionally 17 inch and above? Well, there's this, which is probably the best winter tyre in the world, but as it's definitely not legal anywhere, you'll probably want a regular legal winter tyre. So if you do, it's kind of boring. It's the sister products to the tyres we've already talked about. Continental has the Winter Contact TS870 without the P. Michelin has the Alpine 6 without the word Pilot in, because what we've talked about is the Pilot Alpine 5. Bridgestone still has the LM005. You kind of get the picture. The brands we're talking about make good winter tyres in every size. What about SUV tyres? Well, it's even more boring, as looking at the test data, including mine, the SUV variants of all the tyres we've talked about, they're still the best. So I've done the test, linked in the description, check it out if you want an SUV winter tyre. All those brands doing well in those three categories of tyres is kind of understandable, because they're essentially the same tyre, just in different sizes, and they get a slightly different name. But what if you live in a more extreme winter climate like the Nordics or North America? Well, from a meta-analysis I've made of other people's test data, lots of tests, so you can't even blame me for what I'm about to say, we're still stuck on repeat, as in the studless category, it looks to be the Continental Viking Contact 7, the Michelin XI Snow. We have a new brand entry, Nokian, the Nokian Hakkapeliitta R5. There's a new product from Goodyear called the Goodyear Ultra Grip Ice 2, which is testing very well. And if you live in North America, Bridgestone have a very special tyre that we don't get in Europe called the Bridgestone Blizzak WS90, which everyone screams at me for not talking about. I haven't actually seen solid test data to back it up, but on this one I'm just mentioning it because I trust you guys. If you live in the most extreme winter regions, you'll of course be excited about studded tyres. According to test data, it's more of the same. Jokes, isn't it? The Nokian Hakkapeliitta 10, the Continental Ice Contact 3, the Goodyear Ultra Grip Arctic 2, the Michelin X-Ice North 4, and Bridgestone's Blizzak Spike 3 are all doing well in tests this year. If you're actually undecided on whether you want studs or not, there's a few interesting tests I'll link again in the description comparing studless and studded. Some are from me, some are from other people. And there's even been a test this year comparing budget studded tyre against premium friction winter tyres, which I actually rather enjoyed, and we had a really good discussion about it on the Tyre Review subreddit, also linked. What about using an all-season tyre, which is the European name, or an all-weather tyre in North America, as a winter tyre? I think this works for a lot of regions which occasionally see snow, but also a lot of dry. I actually personally use this, the Michelin Cross Climate 2, as a winter tyre on the family car here in Utah, as I think it offers the best blend for what I need, because we sometimes get lots of snow, but also across winter we have a lot of dry running. So that's where this tyre excels. If you live in a mild, wetter climate like the UK, I still think the Goodyear Vector 4 Season Generation 3 and Hankook Kinergy 4S2 are really good options. However, there are a few new products on the market this year. One from Bridgestone, the Turanza All Season 6, and one from Continental, the All Season Contact 2, which are testing very well. I'm actually halfway through a test with those and this and some of the other products, so keep an eye on the channel. It should be out early next year once I've had the time to do snow. There's also another couple of specials for the North American market. I've not seen a lot of data on these, but again, people are always telling me about them, so I'm going to name them. The Bridgestone Weather Peak, which is a competitor to the Cross Climate 2, and the Pirelli Weather Active ranges are doing pretty well in some tests. As a side note, if you do want to know why America gets different tyres to Europe, let me know in the comments, and if there's interest, I'll make a video, but most of it comes down to wear, shockingly, as you could probably think. So that covers the majority of winter needs, but what about even more random segments of tyres that do get used in winter? Well, from the limited testing I've done, and I've not seen many people test this segment, all terrain, I am confident that the BF Goodrich Trail Train Firestone Destination 82 and this, the Nokian Outpost NET, are going to be amongst the best in the snow. But obviously they're not as good as a full winter tyre. I've got a video comparing that, go check it out. There are a few videos on the channel covering some of these segments, so again, they'll all be linked in the description. And this year I'm actually going to fit a set of these to the Tyre Reviews Cayenne to see how they work in the real world, because they've tested very well. So follow me on Instagram if you want updates on that. To finish up, what about American all-season tyres? Well, now we're getting really far away from a tyre that should be used in winter. And in fact, some people are saying American all-season tyres should be called three-season tyres. They're not snow rated, and a lot of them aren't very good in snow at all. And I kind of agree with that. They're more a three-season tyre. But as most of the US uses them year-round, I'm going to have to touch on the segment. Ultra-high performance all-season tyres are actually a category of tyre I love because they're really, really fun, and they do give you some snow performance when you desperately need it, but obviously they're nowhere near this lot. The Michelin Pilot Sport All Season 4 is very hard to beat. The Continental Extreme Contact DWS 06 Plus is always outstanding in the snow. And off the record, I've seen very promising things about the new Falconer Zensis FK460 AS and the new Bridgestone Potenza Sport AS. Watch out for me testing those next year. I'm really excited to do that. As for the vanilla highway touring all season segment, sadly it's not yet a segment I've ever tested, but TJ over at TireRack.com does an exceptional job, so really I don't feel like I need to. I will though, don't worry. Their results point me towards the Continental Pure Contact LS and True Contact Tour, Bridgestone Turenza Quiet Track, Vegstein High Track all season, all being pretty good in the snow, with Consumer Reports agreeing and throwing in the Michelin Defender range and the General Ultimax RT43. I'll link Tire Rack in the description if you want to check out their work, highly recommended. And finally, I know someone's going to ask me about EV specific all season or winter tires. I would love to give you a good answer, but I just don't have any experience of my own and I've not seen any good test data I want to share with the world. However, I do have one thing, the user reviews on Tire Reviews, which powers my life. The new Hankook Ion range is like, the reviews for that are exceptionally positive, and they do a winter and they do an all season. So that would be where I would be checking out now, but I will be testing it hopefully next year, fingers crossed. That should have covered everything, but if I've forgotten, let me know in the comments below. Feel free to ask me any questions. I'll be in the comments for as long as I possibly can. And as always, safe motoring.